What is up, wrestling fans? I am Jason Burgos for Ringside Intel, here to give my report card and grades for the first night of SummerSlam 2025. Going to go through all the different matchups, going to give thoughts on the results and my personal grades for each, as well as the entire grade for the first night of the event. First, we're going to jump into Roman Reigns and Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. A good match. Kind of starts off slow a little bit. It took some time to get going, but there were some cool elements. You had like Roman spearing Braun through the barrier. You had Roman and Jey Uso pulling out the 1D like the Usos, the Steiner Bulldog by Bronson and Braun. So it had like a really good finish. In the end, Roman and Jey get the win. I figured that's probably what was going to be. Roman hasn't gotten a big win in a good bit. He lost to WrestleMania. He's been out for a while. Yeah, I know the younger guys probably need it, but without Seth Rollins around until later, I think that's probably the expected result, probably the right thing to go with. As a whole, the match, I thought it was a B-. I thought it was going to be like a C as I was going through the first 10 minutes, but it got better at the end. It was really entertaining. I gave it a B-. Moving on from there, go to the Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss versus champions Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne. Also, it was okay. It kind of slow start. It got better as it went along. They have a good element where Alexa Bliss accidentally punches Charlotte. You have this moment of, oh no, Charlotte gonna take that and get petty. You saw her kind of look at her, watching her from behind. You thought that's what's gonna happen. We're gonna get old classic Charlotte being petty, screwing, being a jerk about things. But no, she was a team player. Does what she has to do. Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair become the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. The match was fine, nothing spectacular. It was okay. I give it a C+. On from there, Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross and what is going to be the end of their feud. The match itself was solid, nothing spectacular. It was fine. In the end, Sami Zayn, he gets the win over Karrion Kross. I think the bigger story from this is less the match. And I think it's probably likely Karrion Kross's last match. There's been all these reports that his contract is ending soon, and the rumors are they have not given him a new deal. He hasn't signed anything. Maybe it's all trying to swerve us all, but it seems like Karrion Kross is probably on the way out. That's probably his last match. If he would have won, I would have figured maybe he's got a new contract, he's staying, but I feel like he's doing the honors on the way out, and it's a shame, but it is what it is. The roster's so deep. I guess they feel they don't need Karrion Kross, even though there's a lot of momentum behind him. That match is up. I gave it a C. It was fine. It was okay. Not bad, not great, whatever. It's fine. Moving on to the women's the WWE Women's Championship match, Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill. I gave this match a B-, and I gave it also because I had lower expectations, not because they're not talented wrestlers, but they're both fairly new into the industry. They've only both been in the industry themselves like a few years. So it's an interesting situation. We have these two very, very talented, very athletic women, but who's leading the match? And Tiffany's probably the veteran, so she's probably calling the match in there. And I thought it was a pretty good match. It was entertaining. You got a showcase of their athleticism and their skills. And I think they delivered a pretty rock solid match. And surprisingly to me, I thought Jay was going to win. I think a lot of people thought Jay was going to win, especially after winning King of the Ring, but no, Tiffany Stratton gets the win. There's an element there where Jay had the finish, but she made like an inexperienced move, kind of like what I'm talking about. She didn't, hook the leg, and Tiffany was able to get her foot on the rope. She gets the win later in the match, and I enjoyed it. Really cool showcase of their skills. B- for me, but Tiffany Stratton surprisingly keeps the title, but I don't think this one's over yet. After that, there was Jelly Roll and Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. It was okay. I mean, you knew you weren't going to get anything crazy with this match just because Randy Orton's late in his career and Jelly Roll is not an athletic individual. But I think he did a solid job. At one point, he takes a nasty splash from Logan Paul, who showed his insane athleticism by jumping from the top rope all the way to the outside onto the table, turning midair and landing like a perfect splash. And Jelly Roll took it. I think that was the biggest story of this. Jelly Roll took some good solid bumps, kept going, was in decent shape. He wasn't Lawrence Taylor blown up by the end of the match. And in the end, I gave the match itself a C+. It was fine. It had some entertaining elements. Jelly Roll looked like he was going to get, walk to the back. And then in the end, he comes back to help his friend, but he still loses anyway. And Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul get the win. I think they absolutely deserve to get that win. There's no benefit of having Randy Orton get the win. He's towards the very end of his career. Jelly Roll does not need to get a win. The celebrities, we don't need to do that anymore. Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul far more need the victory, and they get it. And now on to the main event, CM Punk versus Gunther. Man, really fun. Not a fun like in a wild AEW, super athleticism way, but it's just an interesting story. I've never seen anybody take this many chops from Gunther. I mean, Punk showed insane toughness by taking the most chops I've ever seen anybody take in a match from Gunther, along with some other devastating moves. As always, that was the story of the match, showing his toughness, his grit, his ability to never walk away and give up. And then we get a really unique element towards the end to set up the finish, where Punk wins, is that Gunther kind of gets over cocky. He ends up taking a bump on the table. It ends up cutting him open, and he reacts poorly to it. We've never seen Gunther bleed, so it was interesting that he got frazzled by it. He got shook up, and Punk took advantage, gets the finish. He becomes a world heavyweight champion. First time he's been a top champion in WWE in over a decade. And then, as what has been rumored for a while, Seth Rollins, his injury was all a ruse. It was all fake. It was all a grand scheme so he can cash in at this very moment with no one expecting it, although a lot of people expected it. If you're following the rumors and stories, a lot of people at this point were wondering if it was actually still a real injury. He cashes in. Unfortunately, no one's there to help Punk, and he beats him up, hits him with the briefcase about 3 or 4 times, hits him with the curb stomp. We have a new world champion. Grand scheme, Seth Rollins gets to the world title. The CM Punk versus Gunther match, I gave it A, just because of the match itself was good, real cool match, good story, great end, and then the element of adding Seth Rollins into it, it really helped elevate it. I think it was, as an overall story, it was an A. The overall event, I was leaning towards a C, maybe a B minus, but I give it a B plus. I think the main event was good, and I think the cash in, even though some were expecting it, there was probably a lot of people that still didn't. They believed that Seth Rollins was injured. I give the overall event a B plus for night 1 of SummerSlam. What are your thoughts? What were your favorite matches? What were your least favorite matches? And what was your overall grade for night 1 of SummerSlam 2025?